Welcome to Learning Dorico. I'm composer and educator Dr. Scott Watson. In this video, we'll mostly do review. The last 13 episodes have been leading up to a place where I just think you know so much, it's time to just do a quick project, one you can complete probably before you finish your cup of coffee, that just reviews a bunch of essential fundamentals of entering music with Dorico. For this review activity, I've chosen the March theme from the Nutcracker. The reason I like it is it has lots of repetition. You'll notice that measures 1 and 2 are repeated in measures 3 and 4, and then again in measures 9 and 10 and 11 and 12, so we can review all sorts of ways for copying that music once we enter it the first time. There's also some other repetitions, like 5 and 6 are similar in contour. We just need to take them either down a step or up a step. And there's even some micro repetition in measure 7 and in measure 15, where the first 2 beats are sequenced up a step in the next 2 beats. Aside from that, we'll get to review entering triplets, dynamics, articulations, and more. Let's get started with the March from the Nutcracker. Although you probably don't need it, let's review quickly the score setup that we do for lead sheet type projects. So Command N. And we're going to choose Add Single Player, as I've done in the past. I'm going to choose oboe, just like the sound of that, add. And then I like to resize my window. And while we're still here, let's do some project information, Command I. Let's call this March from the Nutcracker. Notice I'm putting March in quotes. Now, the Nutcracker I want to be italicized. Here's a little trick. If you put an asterisk before the Nutcracker and then asterisk after it, that will italicize it. So that's a little Dorico trick. Composer, just P-I for Peter Ilyich Tchaikovsky. Use your spelling of choice. And that's about all I'm going to put here for now. Again, I'm not going to worry about flow because I'm going to get rid of the flow. So go ahead and apply and close. Notice that our Nutcracker is italicized. I'm going to go ahead and into the layout options, Shift Command L, get rid of that flow heading. We don't need to see that. What else do I want to do while I'm here? Get rid of this. Staff labels, let's not show those either on the first one or on subsequent ones abbreviated, and close that. Great. All right, now we're ready to go Command 2 into write mode and set up, for instance, the key or the meter. Let's do the meter is going to be 4/4, and the key. These are all Shift M for meter, Shift K for key is going to be F major, and tempo Shift T, allegro. Non troppo, which means not too. And quarter note equals 104. Q equals 104. And let's add, this is 16 bars. We already have one, so we'll do Shift B and add 15 bars of music. And this is a good time to save. Command S. Save it to the desktop or any place that's easy to find, whatever you want to call it. Save. Now we're ready to enter notes. I'm going to select the first measure, hit return to go into the note input mode. Also K, because I like to do pitch before duration. I've explained that in previous videos, which means I'll be able to select the notes from my MIDI keyboard and not have them entered automatically until I type the keyboard shortcut for the rhythm. So we start here with a C quarter note. So I'm pressing C and then 6, and that gets that. To put the triplets, here's a review of triplets. To get into tuplet mode, you use the semicolon, and the default is 3 in the space of 2. So now I'll hold C down, and this time I'll press the shortcut 5 for eighth notes, and I'll do 3 of those. But I have to get out of tuplet mode by doing Shift semicolon, which is really colon, and now I'm out of that, and I can go to the D and do 2 more quarter notes. And then in the next measure I have an eighth note E, so that would be 5. I'm going to use the could use a space bar or the forward arrow to get to the next beat, and then an eighth note C, and then use the spacebar or the arrow to go forward, and then I'll put this D half note in, shortcut 7. Now, I do want to have these two eighth notes connected, and I want to get that right. Let me escape, get out of this. I do want to have these, so I'm going to select these two, shift click them two, and then I'm going to control click or right click on them and go for beaming, beam together, beaming, beam together. That way, right off the bat, I get it the way I want it. Because remember, we're going to copy this into measure 3 and 4. Also, while I'm here, I may as well get all of the staccato. Everything is staccato from the very first note up until here. So select them all and then type the close bracket. That puts staccato. Remember, open bracket puts accent. So that's the way I want it. I'm not going to put the mezzo forte dynamic at the beginning just yet because now I want to copy these. So if I select these two measures, I'll show you a bunch of different ways we could copy it. I could do Command C, select over here, and then Command V, and that pastes it. Remember, we also need this same music in measure 9 and 10. So the way I'm going to show you in measure 9 is I'll put my mouse here at the beginning of measure 9 and holding the Option key, because I've already selected some music, right? What I've selected is measure 3 and 4. And if I want to copy 3 and 4 to 9 and 10, I can just, while I'm holding the Option key, click at the beginning of 9 and 10, and it copies it. So whether you do, copy paste, Command C and Command V, or whether you do option clicking, those are two great ways to copy music. So let me do the option click here as well. All right, so now I've got those measures already in, and I can get out of this and go back to my note entry, this time starting in measure 5. All right, now measure 5 is the one that has a dotted rhythm. I've set up in my preferences to have the dot added after I put the note in, and that's the way I like to do it. You can change it if you want. But anyway, I'm going to press the B flat, and then 5 gives me the 8th note, and now I hit the period, and that's what gives me the dot. And then I'll go to the C, shortcut 4 for the 16th note. The rest are 8th notes for the measure. They're all 5. Well, most of them are. This one's 6, right? The quarter note. Whoops, I played E flat. Let me just do that again and put it in as E natural 6. Okay. Now, what I also pointed out, there's some repetition here. If I take this measure and copy it and paste it over here, I can take everything down a step, and that would be option down arrow, right? So that took it down a step, and now I have exactly what I want. Let's see if we can do something like that here, where we have G, F, and then E. But those three notes, let me shift select them. If I option click here, I'll get those same three notes, and I can take it up by doing option up arrow. So these are shortcuts that can increase your workflow, make things go faster. But you don't have to do it, right? It's fast enough just to do this too. You can get the notes in quite fast doing that. And again, we want to connect these two, at least because it is in our original, we want to connect these two. So I'm going to right click or control click and say beaming, beam together. All right. Any articulations we need to put in here? Sure. We have some slurs. We had them here. That's S. And here, that's S. I can just use the forward arrow to go to there and do, actually here we need all three of these to be slurred, S. And then I use the forward arrow. And again, there's a bunch of different ways you can select all these, but simplest one is just to click on it or to shift click them. And then these two are staccato. So we'll do the close bracket. I think we're set. Okay, now what about measure 13 and 14? Well, that's very similar to measure 5 and 6. So I'm going to go ahead and copy measure 5 and 6, Command C, and paste it here, Command V. And then let's talk about it. Well, 13 is identical, but 14 was actually that same shape, but up a step from where 13 was. So I'm going to use the option up arrow and get it up to where we need it, and that does it. And then we just have two measures. By the way, the measure 15 is very similar to measure 7. So let me copy measure 7 down here in measure 15. And if I use the option up arrow, get it to the D, that gets that done. So we're doing a lot with copying and pasting here. And then this last measure, just going to go ahead and put the notes in using my regular note entry. Okay, and then we want to put what, an accent on this last one. That would be the open bracket. And let's go back to the first note of the measure and put the slur in S. Let's go ahead and put some dynamics in. That would be Shift D here. So this is mezzo forte. What else? This is piano down here. Shift D again, piano. This is a crescendo up until the C. So if I select this music and do Shift D and just type in the angle, right? It's like the less than sign, right? That plus the forte that we want as our destination. Those two things, the open angle and F, the crescendo and F, right? That'll actually put that in for us. And I could have done that before I copied it. By the way, notice I've selected that. So those two are selected. If I option click down here, it'll copy just that gesture. That's a little tricky to select it, so you might want to just put it in as we have. In any case, I'm going to go ahead and put the piano here, dynamic Shift D, P, and I need a mezzo forte, sorry, back here. I forgot about this one, Shift D, MF. And now I think we have all of our dynamics in. Let's go ahead and save. Now that we've got all the music in, it's time to do a little format layout. I'm going to Command minus and just zoom out a little bit. I'd like to just make this fill up the page more, which means I want to get more space between systems. And that's done in engrave mode, Command 3. We could just use the staff spacing tool and drag those out, but I want to try something different. Let me go back to write mode, and we're going to do Shift, Command L, go into layout options, and let's look at vertical spacing down here. And scroll down here to intersystem gap. Right now it's set at 10. I've sort of fooled around with this. Let's change it to 16 and say apply. And then when we go out, we do have a little bit more space between our systems. And this is almost looking like I want it. And that's where then maybe you would go into engrave mode and using this tool, maybe you can tweak anything that you want a little bit different, open it up a little bit more. Remember, pressing the tilde key helps you sort of eyeball it up so you can see what it looks like without all those formatting things. Perhaps you want all the systems to go down, select them all, and then option down arrow can move them all uniformly. Maybe get a little more space up there at the top if you wanted it. And again, tilde key kind of shows us what it looks like. That's looking good. Back to write mode, and of course, let's save it. We're ready to wrap this thing up. If you haven't had a chance to play your project, you might try that by just selecting a note, typing P to play. By the way, when I went to play this project the first time, I had no sound, just one little troubleshooting thing. I noticed that in play mode, I noticed that my oboe slider and my output slider were down. So I had to turn those up so that I could actually hear my project. So again, you can actually type play, it'll play it back. All right. When you're ready to print, option 5 gets you into print mode. You can print it either to your printer or to a graphic format like PDF and hit export, and it'll put it wherever it's been specified, here in this case on the desktop. I hope this review project has been helpful to you, as we're all learning Dorico.